This is a serious subject, and I want to present it to you tonight. I want you to have a good time tonight and your pirate night and so forth. But, before I start, let me just tell you this. The reason that Noel and Chuck and all the folks here put on this conference or this camp and want to teach you guys things is so that when you get older and get out into the world, you're armed with truth and knowledge and know what your rights are and know what human dignity should be and what human happiness should be. We want you to have that knowledge so that you can continue the fight to preserve it. And what I want to talk to you tonight is a real bad situation that can deny every one of you, no matter how much knowledge you've got, can deny your ability to stand up for those things and to fight back. And that is just so serious that I'm just going to stay serious about this, and I hope that you all catch what we're talking about and understand. Let me start out by asking you this question. How do you feel about illegal immigration? There are those who say that those coming to this country are just trying to work for a better life. They are migrants, not illegal. We don't use the word illegal. They're just migrants. They're just moving up from countries where they have a bad situation. I talked to you today about bad government and why they're poor, and they want to come to America and have a good life. The problem is that they are coming over our border at such a force that they are literally threatening our very way of life. They come here in the old days, back in the 1800s and early 1900s, we had immigrants come here by thousands, millions, came into this country. They came from Europe, they came from Asia, they came from other parts of the world. But as they came here, they riding usually on a boat to get in here, coming into New York Harbor in most cases, sometimes coming from the West. They practiced English. They had some of our documents, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and so forth. They revered it. They understood how important it was. And when they hit the shores of the United States, they passed the Statue of Liberty. They were emotional. They were excited. They were in America. They wanted to be Americans and have the American liberty, the rights to live their lives as they chose. They were coming from very oppressive societies. And we embraced them. And we said, absolutely, come in. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. There's a different situation happening today. Illegal immigrants coming into this country who do not like the United States, have no intention of becoming American citizens, have no intention of learning our language, and as they're coming in by the millions secretly, breaking our laws, they're changing our communities. Crime is rampant. Drugs are coming in more and more. Whole neighborhoods are being destroyed. Families are being destroyed. And these are the reasons why a lot of us oppose illegal immigration. The question becomes, what do you do about it? Now, I contend that the way you handle that is, first of all, you enforce the law. The law says they can't come in here. And if they do come in here, then we have a perfect right to gather them up and send them away. Send them back to where they came from. We have a right to secure our border. Put troops on the border, put border patrol, build a fence. We have a right to keep them from getting free medical care and health and education and Social Security that they've never paid into, all these kinds of benefits. We certainly have a right to keep them from getting a job in this country. And that seems pretty clear, should be clear, that you break the law, you get out of here. You hear one of the most outrageous things I hear about. There's an organization called La Raza, which stands in Spanish, it means the race. Now, we're called racists because we say we don't want these illegals coming in, mostly Hispanic, that we're racist. That's the reason we don't want them here. And it has nothing to do with race. It has to do with breaking the law and changing our way of life and raising our taxes and raising our crime rate and so forth. La Raza calls itself the race. And they believe that they have a perfect right to come here and take our land, joining it back into the certain states in the U.S., the Southwest, Texas, Arizona, California, clear up into Colorado, that they should be able to take over all those and take them away from the United States, quite frankly. And that's their mantra. That's what they're working towards. So it literally is a war between citizens of the United States and illegals who want to come here and take it away from us. Our government, for quite a while, has been ignoring the laws, the immigration laws of the United States. They have been embracing. We have this argument going on that these people, we need them to come here to work. They do cheap labor. They do things that Americans won't do. You've heard this line? They do things Americans won't do. Well, first what we did to Americans is we put in things like minimum wage laws, which make it so college kids and high school kids and so forth, companies can't afford to hire them. So they start hiring illegals to come in under the table, and that's why they work cheaper. The reason Americans won't do these jobs mainly is because the companies can't afford to hire them to do those jobs. So the government's coming at us in two prongs. They're raising the cost of American workers, and then they're helping bring in illegals to do things that Americans won't do. Well, the government has refused to build the wall in most cases. They have refused to arrest the illegals. They are refusing to allow local law enforcement to arrest and deport illegals. They're doing everything they can to keep them here. They're lowering college tuitions for them, giving them special privileges that you don't have. They're giving them free education. They're giving them free health care. Now they want to join them onto the Social Security rolls, doing everything in their power to not stop the flood of illegal immigration. Now, some people who really, really want to stop illegal immigration have gotten desperate. And so they're coming up with all kinds of ways to try to stop illegal immigration. One of the ways that they came up with is something called Real ID. The purpose of Real ID was passed in 2005, and it was argued that this was the atom bomb in the fight to stop illegal immigration. What it calls for is standardizing the process and the format for driver's licenses, that you have to have specific documentation in order to get a driver's license. You've got to show your birth certificate. You've got to show that you're a resident here in this country. And they take a photograph. And this photograph deals with biometrics. And I'm going to get into that quite a bit here as we go along. But what it does is, if you have, how many have a driver's license? Does your driver's license have a blue background to it? If you look at it, does it have a blue background? Probably does, because almost all of them do. What they have done, that photograph is now they have reduced your facial features to a code, to digital numbers, so that you anywhere. You've been hearing the conversation going on right now, some criticism. They're saying that you're not, I know this is true in Virginia, you're not allowed to smile when you have your driver's license picture taken. Why not? Well, because it throws off the number. It throws off the number, and that they've reduced your face to a number, to a numeric code. So when they're looking at your photograph, they're not looking at your face. They're looking at the numbers. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But there are a lot of conservatives who are desperate to get Real ID enforced in every single state, saying this will stop illegals from getting jobs. Now, I have a lot of problems with this, and I will go through them in detail. But one of them is this. The U.S. government, as I stated, has refused to do anything to stop the flood of illegals coming in. They've even stopped, they don't even enforce visa violations. If somebody comes in this country legally with a visa, that means the government has granted them the right to come in the country. And they tell them you have to leave in a certain amount of time, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, whatever. What's happening is people ignore it, and they just stay here. That would be pretty simple for the government to find those people and say, you got to leave, your visa's up. They won't even do that. But now they've come up with a plan that with Real ID, we're going to make business the first line of defense against illegal immigration. We've ignored the wall, we've ignored deportation, we've ignored trying to cut them off from services, but business. Now business, for the most part, I said this morning that 60% or more of all the businesses in this country are small companies, 25 or less employees, and not big, huge corporations. Basically, you've got a guy who decides to start a business because he wants to produce a product, wants to make a profit for him and his family and employ people and so forth. Now, he's already the national tax collector. Just because he became a businessman and hired employees, he's now required by the federal government to collect the taxes out of the payrolls of all of his employees. And not only that, not only does he have to collect those taxes out of your paycheck. Remember I talked to Billy this morning, had $100 already taken out of his paycheck. What we didn't say was his employer has to match that tax out of their pocket that they're taking out of his pocket for Social Security and so forth. So that tax actually, if they're paying him $450, and they're actually probably paying him $550 in their pocket. So the businesses have become the national tax collector. Now, government wants to make business the first line of defense against illegal immigration. They want to impose Real ID and have the driver's licenses block the them getting in the country and getting a job, getting a car. There's a second piece to the puzzle, and this is where the businesses come in. It's called E-Verify. Once again, this is supported by a lot of good conservatives, just like Real ID is, for the idea that this is a tool we have to stop illegal immigration. E-Verify is a system where they use the Social Security Administration's list, everybody who's got a Social Security number. You go in to get a job, you apply for a job, and first of all, you have to show them your approved driver's license from Real ID. And the second thing you have to do is now the businessman has to go into a government data bank and check your Social Security number against the data bank. And if it verifies that, yes, this is a legitimate Social Security number, and therefore that person is a legitimate American citizen or here legally and can have the job. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? That will take care of illegal immigration. They just won't be able to get a job. And Americans are well protected. Right? Wrong. First of all, in putting together this information on Real ID, and they put this data bank together with these photographs in there,